Welcome to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP. I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Leonard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. Really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton will say, let's get on with the show! Hello, everyone. Welcome to Books, Authors, Weeks, October of 2025. I had Health Weeks in February of 2025. I had a Music Weeks, 3 of those in the month of March 2025. So here we are, October. I have a lot of fellow authors I have the chance to have discussions with. So Books, Authors, Weeks, October 25. Without further ado, let's head into a discussion with a fellow author. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Constitutionalist podcast, Books/Authors Weeks 3. Joining me today is Rick Partlow, and my audience knows I can't pass on the lame pun, so I'm going to say next week will be part high, discussing the weather, and the week after partially cloudy. But I'm bummed.
Well, when people ask how to spell my name, it's like part high, part low, right there in the middle.
Yeah. And joking about our names usually helps embed it in other people's heads. So I like to joke about names. And indeed, those looking behind the scenes video will see it on the bottom scroll of the video, but for audio and sake of the transcript, audio platforms 25 plus, only 5 videos, so more here on audio than see on video. RICK, there is a K on there. It isn't short the K. And Partlow, as you would think, PARTLOW. Welcome to the show, Rick.
You would think that, and yet I could have lost count of how many people have spelled my name Parthow, Patlow, Patow, Bartlow.
Hey,
every possible.
You know the old saying, call me what you want, just don't call me late for dinner, right?
Yes.
But again, now that we've given the wrong names, it is Rick with a K on there, Partlow, as you would expect. And you are the author of Contact Front. And again, not being able to pass the lame puns, as opposed to Contact Back, so it wouldn't be confused with Brokeback Mountain, maybe. But it's just a joke, people.
It's opposed to Contact Rear, actually.
Oh, that was a consideration then.
No.
Yeah.
That wasn't a consideration.
Okay, you're going with the flow of the bad pun. Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that. Usually people just roll their eyes at my lame puns.
Dad jokes are my life.
Yeah, mine too. But yeah, and hey, it's just a joke, people. Relax. Please, can we calm down? So, yeah, but before we go to the book, where were you born, raised? Where are you now? Significant places you've been to in between, those sorts of things.
I was born in Tampa, Florida. I am, as I say in my bio on Amazon, I am that rarest of species, a native Floridian. Somebody who didn't move there. I lived in Florida for most of my life, except for a few years in Pennsylvania and Georgia when we were growing up. And I went into after I graduated college in Florida, I went and was commissioned in the Army, and I was stationed in Hawaii. And after that, I came back to Florida. You'd think, but it's not as nice as you get over it quick. It's really expensive place to live. So
everything's got to be shipped or flown in.
yeah,
So yes,
exactly.
yes.
So after I got out of the Army, I went back to Florida. I lived there for, wow, something like 29 years. And then once our kids moved out of the house, we moved to Wyoming. I live in Northwest Wyoming now.
So you've been out in Wyoming happens to be one of the places I've not been to. So prepare a bunk. I'm going to come visit.
A lot of people don't believe it exists.
Yes. Part of the flyover country, some would refer to as.
There's a whole internet meme about Wyoming isn't real. It doesn't exist.
Figment of everyone's imagination. It's just a fake place on the map, right?
And since there's fewer than 600,000 people in the entire state, it kind of almost doesn't.
So before we get into some of the nitty-gritty of the book, since we've joked about the title, Contact Front, Drop Trooper Book 1 is the subtitle. Got to throw that in there. And for those viewing the video, he just got up to grab the book. There it is. For those on the Audio 25 platforms, that doesn't do them any good, but there's the book cover if you're watching on video, and why you should watch on BitChute, Brighteon, Dailymotion in France, Rumble, or YouTube. There's things you miss if you don't see the video. Before we go into the nitty-gritty of the book, the title, I often say to aspiring authors and covering my How to Write a Book and Get It Published, don't ever openly give away your title till it's ready to drop. And it's right. Have a working title so you can discuss your project with people without giving away your title. Did you have a working title other than Contact Front?
I did. Honestly, I don't remember what it is at this point. Because I wrote.
But you understand
I wrote the book 5 years ago, so it's been a while. But what me and the publisher Athon decided, I think the original title was something to do with duty or something, but it was like 4 or 5 words. And we decided we wanted to use shorter phrases, and they would be military jargon. Contact Front, it actually, if we had done it the proper military way, it'd be contact, comma, front, exclamation point. But there's problems with putting small things like that on covers that people don't see them when they look at it online for an ebook or an audiobook. So we just use the words. But
yeah, it overcomplicates it. Yeah.
Yes. Contact Front means you have enemy contact to the front.
Yeah. Which
contact rear would be behind, contact left, contact right.
Yeah, yeah.
But it also, for people who don't know, for people who don't know the term, it also has like multiple meanings, like a war front, a battle front, and this is, so it's an onion. It's an onion of a title. Also, the main character has issues with trusting people. So it's a contact front would be like the people who he's supposed to trust and as having problems doing it.
A confrontation in regards to those sorts of things. And yes, I mean, in war, you always want and prefer the enemy in front of you. You sure don't want to let them in your flank.
Yeah.
So indeed, it says here, drafted into Mickey Mickelson's release about your book, now 5 years old, but like My Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You came out in 22. Still as relevant today. I take it still as relevant today as Contact Front, the Drop Trooper Book 1, yes?
Yes, out of 16.
Oh, interesting. So these are going to go for a long. So is 2
Yes.
and 3 already dropped, or
No,
so?
book 1 only dropped today, October 21st, when we're recording this.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Every life is a story. Some just end too soon. Ryan's life unfolds through words on paper, dreams of youth, love discovered, and the challenges of growing up. He found purpose in love, joy in family, and meaning in every small moment. But even the strongest hearts can break, and sometimes life takes unexpected turns. Through laughter and loss, Ryan leaves behind something greater than memories, a lasting legacy. A short story, A Lasting Legacy, by Joseph M. Leonard. A moving reflection on life, love, and the stories we leave behind. Available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and hardcover editions. By Joseph M. Leonard.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, I guess we got to back up because you said it's 5 years old. So
I wrote it 5 years ago, yes.
I got you, but it's only now. It's like Terror Strikes. I originally started it in 2006, picked it back up again in 2021, and it dropped to 22. So
Well,
I like this behind the scenes stuff for people to understand. Books just don't happen overnight, people.
well, this is a complicated story because Athon Books, the people who publish this, you can see their little logo there.
Yeah.
Initially, Athon Books was an Amazon only publisher, which means you send them the book, they get the cover art, they do the editing, they do the formatting, they publish it on Amazon and Audible, they make an audiobook, and it's like only on Amazon, and it's on KU, Kindle Unlimited. So they published this initially in 2020, right after I finished writing it.
Oh,
But
okay.
recently, Athon acquired Vault Comics, and Vault Comics has a distribution deal with Simon & Schuster, which means that now Athon can get their books into Barnes & Noble. And they chose for the first, I think, 4 books they're going to release, my Contact Front, which was a massive hit on Amazon, and Jeff Haskell's
I've had him on.
Yes, first Grimswar book, and Larry Correa's first book with Athon, Academy Outcast, and Andrew. Oh, I suck with names, and I've only heard his a few times. Andrew starts with a G. Givler, I think it's Givler. I don't remember the name of his book, but because have not met him personally, whereas I know the other 2 gentlemen personally. So those are going to be the first 4 books released in Barnes & Noble. So in one way, this book is 5 years old. In another way, it's brand new.
I'm loving this behind the scenes and nitty gritty because, again, I wrote How to Write a Book and Get It Published, Hints, Tips, and Techniques for Aspiring Authors. And I love to have shows like this where there is the behind the scenes for aspiring writers. Readers who may be interested in the book may not be interested in the behind the scenes. Hopefully they didn't tune out, but so there it is for what it's worth. I think that's great. 80% of books, that number's gone up and down over the years, but the usual phrase is 80% of books are sold through Amazon. So
I think it's more now, even.
It probably is. It's probably closer to 90% now,
like
just
90%.
because it's so doggone convenient. But
well, I can tell you that Amazon is the largest bookstore in the world.
Yes.
And Kindle Unlimited is the second largest bookstore in the world.
Go through Kindle Select.
I make most of my money from Kindle Unlimited.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, you get paid.
It was
you get paid by the page
popular
read.
enough. Yeah.
And it helps a lot if you have long series, because people who go on Kindle Unlimited will read one book, read the next book, read the next book, and if you have 16 books in this series like I do,
It's like binge watching of
it's
streaming.
exactly right. Yeah.
Yes. So
we have a technical term for people like that. We call them whale readers.
like whale betters in Vegas, they're called whales.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's cool. But yeah, you want to be at Barnes and Noble and Books a Million and all that. So I'm glad Atheon's expanded out. But yeah, if you're going to be at one place, Kindle Direct Publishing is the one place you got to be due to the size of the potential audience. And indeed,
honestly, if you're into the nuts and bolts of publishing, I think that's a mistake that a lot of large publishers have made. Is they put their books on Amazon, but they don't concentrate on marketing them there. And when people look for a book, as I said, most of them look online. Even if they're going to get a physical copy, they look online. And they will look at the reviews on Amazon. They'll look at the ranking on Amazon and see, is this popular? Do a lot of people like this? And if you're a publisher who doesn't bother to market your book on Amazon, and you have a book that's like in the 10,000s on Amazon and has maybe 100 reviews, people are going to say, oh, this must not be that good.
Which is a shame, because there's a lot of books that are really good that because I do go into that and how to write a book. Reviews. The haters love to hate, as the song says, right? And they're quick to give a criticism. But people who love your work are reluctant to bother to give you the review at times. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people I've talked to that tell me how much they love my books, now into the double digits, but where's your review then?
I always tell
I
people,
need your online review.
I always tell people, if you like the book, go on Amazon and review it. If you didn't like it, just keep it to yourself. That's fine.
Or talk to me first, right? Tell me, go to the website, the contact form, and give me a chance to defend myself before you give me the nasty review. Exactly. Because indeed my first Terror Strikes International book did go through Ingram Sparks, which made it available through Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, and whatever, including in bookstores available that way. But you're right. If you're not marketing it at Amazon, Amazon has less incentive. Well, they still have an incentive because they get a cut if they sell the book, even if it's printed by Ingram Sparks rather than KDP. But they have less of an incentive than trying to promote books that are through KDP and they get a bigger cut of. Makes sense?
Yeah, I suppose so. I've never used Ingram Spark. I know that Athon has used them for some of their paperback printing, but that's not my thing. I don't get involved in the nuts and bolts of it.
Right. And I think way too much nuts and bolts for some viewers, so we better move on to why you're actually here discussing Contact Front Drop Trooper Book 1. What inspired it?
Well, I have written 85 books, and somewhere around, I think 47 of those are in the same universe, the one that Contact Front is in. And it's not the first by any stretch. I wrote like 5 other series in that universe before I started Drop Trooper. And in those series, there was a war that takes place in this future history against a humanoid alien race called the Tani. And I wrote stories from that war from the point of view of like special operations commandos, from Force Recon Marines, from pilots, and search and rescue. And the only thing that I had mentioned as a military force and had not written was the big Marines in their battle suits, the big armored battle suits like Starship Trooper,
Yeah.
I mentioned them, but I never written anything from their point of view because I thought, well, it's been done. Starship Troopers armor. John Ringo had the Legacy of the Aldonado with the battle suits, and also he did Through the Looking Glass where they had battle suits, and I'm like, everybody's done battle suits, so I needed a hook,
Different
something
angle somehow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I wrote a short story for a anthology called Backblast Area Clear, which is notable in that Richard Fox's short story in that anthology was nominated for a Dragon Award. I think he won the Dragon Award for it.
Which helped give your short story a little.
Yeah. So the short story was called Into the Great Wide Open, which is a cut from Tom Petty's song.
Yeah.
Rebel Without a Clue.
My OCD brain immediately went there. Yeah.
And it was about a Marine who got into battle suits because he was agoraphobic and he couldn't stand to be out. He was he was raised in this big mega city, and he was raised in the underground where nobody ever sees the sky, So when he was drafted and went into basic training, first time he saw the sky, he panicked. And even though he was really good at being a Marine, he couldn't do it he couldn't be force recon. He couldn't be a guy out there in the woods, with just a rifle. So he got into battle suits, and the battle suit was not just like an armor against his agoraphobia, but also it was an armor against other people because he didn't trust other people because of the life he'd lived. So the story Into the Great Wide Open was when he is part of a failed attack on a colony world that the enemy has taken, and his suit is wrecked, and he has to get out of it and throw in with these partisan fighters among the colonists. And he's out in the great wide open and having to deal with his agoraphobia, and at the same time having to deal with trusting other people, which he's not good at.
Interesting. So this is really genre-wise military sci-fi.
It is military science fiction, definitely. And after the short story everybody liked it, and I had just finished another military science fiction series for Aethon that involved mecha, like BattleTech or Robotech, the big giant robots.
Yeah, MECHA, not MECCA, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Battle mechs, basically. And they wanted me to do a new series, and I'm like, well, I've got all this background of this war that I've already written in many other novels, and I got this short story that could easily be expanded into a novel. So I'm like, I'll do a trilogy for you of this guy in the war. That expanded to 4 books because I found out after book 3 got started, like, I'm not gonna be able to finish it in book 3. So
book 3 kind of became like a Potter film, part A and part B.
Not quite, but in book 4, I ended the war. And then those first 4 books had done so well. Book 4 was a finalist for the Dragon Awards. And my publisher said to me, "You're going to keep writing these books." And I'm like, "But I ended the war." And he said, "Doesn't matter. You're going to keep writing these books until they stop selling or Jesus comes."
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure that's what they told JK about Potter too, but she finally said, "No, we're done. We're done." So military sci-fi, take part in immediately comes to mind Avatar, which I loved the first movie, but have no desire to see the second and the third, which are basically the same daggone thing.
Never watched the entire Avatar movie.
Well, I liked the first one because of the special effects. It was, and advancing effects and the way they did the blue people and the avatars and whatnot. So I wanted to see it as a film devotee as opposed to this is a storyline I really want to see kind of thing.
The only time I've watched Avatar at all was I was substitute teaching in a Russian language class, and their assignment for me from that day was to watch Avatar in Russian.
Oh my, with subtitles, I hope.
I don't remember if there's subtitles. I didn't really look at this. I don't think
Didn't
there
pay
were.
much attention
I
to
think
it.
I think the subtitles were in Russian.
Oh.
So I didn't get any of that. I just saw the special effects and they were cool, but on a little tiny TV on a cart in a, you know,
Yeah,
in a portable classroom.
yeah, as opposed to your home TV, which is probably a lot bigger.
Yeah, but no, I just didn't have any interest in that in the story or the concept.
I didn't really either. Again, I saw the movie because of the director and what the effects potentially meant for future films as a film devotee. At any rate, back to Contact Front. Well, I think we've covered the storyline in that series. Let's try covering some of your other books in your other series. Let's promote them too. What other?
Well, I do want to say something about Cam Alvarez, the main character, though.
Oh, okay.
He was also, I think, it's funny because this was kind of a throwaway, not throwaway, but it was like a kind of a off the cuff series, and I just did what I could to make him as interesting as possible. And so I made him this world that he's in. It's about 200 years after a nuclear war between Russia and China, which collapsed society. And the big cities that exist now basically fell into rioting and were burned down. And the survivors built these mega cities. And one of them is the city called Los Angeles, which is between where San Diego and Los Angeles is right now. So the main character of Contact Front, Cam Alvarez, was born in Tijuana. And Tijuana is a wrecked city that's that people live in the ruins. They farm on the outskirts, and the actual city part is ruled by gangs. And
pretty much like it is today.
Well, his mother is killed in a gang shootout in the Crossfire, and his father and older brother decide that it's time to get out of there. So they try to cross the desert to Los Angeles, but they die along the way, and only he survives. He makes it to Los Angeles as a kid and is stuck in group homes because, it's hard to find anybody who'll adopt a street kid, that came in from outside the city. And he winds up in group homes where he's like poorly treated and they're run by the bullies. And he winds up running away at age 14 and becoming a street hustler, basically ripping off the gangs and like ripping off their drug deals, selling the drugs himself, keeping the money. But one of those hustles goes bad and a gang enforcer is accidentally killed while chasing him. So if you've heard of felony murder, if you're committing a crime and somebody dies, whether or not you did it, you're guilty of felony murder. So he is given the choice of what's called punitive hibernation, which is where they stick you in suspended animation for 100 years, which in 100 years means likely nobody will ever wake you up because they won't get around to it. Or he can join the Marines because we're in the middle of a war. And even though most people on Earth know nothing about it because it's so far away, we're kind of losing badly. And they are very short of cannon fodder. So they put him in the Marines. And as I said, he's an orphan who's been in group homes, been bullied, been an outcast. He's lived on the street most of his life. So he doesn't trust anybody. Everybody he's ever trusted has betrayed him. So he gets in the Marines, and he's in a position where you have to trust other people. And more importantly, and harder for him, you have to be responsible for other people, which is the whole point of book one is that he learns how to trust and how to care about other people.
You had already mentioned another series, but you've got so many books. I don't know where to go next, but I think we should talk about a couple of the others, I guess, before we close out.
Okay. Well, the one that started the whole thing, the whole universe, was called Birthright. It's a 4-book series called Birthright. The first one's called Glory Boy, and it introduces the entire universe. It was written a long, long time ago. The first Birthright book that I wrote
still
was
available. Still available.
It's actually the second one in the series now, because I wrote the prequel Glory Boy. But I wrote that. I started writing that when I was like 18 years old, back in the late 80s. And I finished it when I was in my late 20s, when I was trying to get trad published, had an agent and stuff. So it's been around quite a while. So the details of the universe have changed a little bit since I wrote that series, but that is the first one. And then I went to a book series called Recon, and then Acheron, and Psy-War, and then finally Droptrooper. But the latest things I'm working on for Aethon is a series called Archangel, which is about it's in a different universe altogether, different history. And it's about a former commando who finds out the war that he served in was basically built on a lie, and the government is using the military and to try to maintain power. And he has to finally start a resistance movement.
Being a fellow author, I love wordplay and double meanings, double entendres without a sexual connotation. And we're dealing in that here, right? Universe as in this book universe of books, and indeed it's military sci-fi, so it's kind of out there in another universe.
Yeah.
You didn't find that as tickling as I did, obviously.
Well, you throw around a lot of terms like that in science fiction now, because one universe has one history, one scientific pathway that they took to get to the stars or whatever, one set of aliens, and then you have another universe with another history.
Yeah, but presumably physics, the laws of physics, supposed to apply as we know them, as we expect they would everywhere, although we're already trying to bend beyond what we know as the law of physics, like potential faster than light speed travel.
You know what Scotty said? You cannot change the laws of physics, Jim.
So,
but I like to twist them as far as possible.
Right. Exactly. So thank you again, Rick Partlow. I almost said Bartlow because of the beginning. Rick Partlow, for joining today. Do you have a website where people find you and your entire, promotion about all the series? If not, do you sell direct?
I do not sell direct. All my books are through a couple of different publishers. Best place to find everything that I have is to go to Amazon.com and look up my name. I am the only science fiction author with this name, so it's easy.
I'm glad you said that, because that's why I have my middle initial in there. Yeah. Joseph M. Leonard. It looks French. I say this almost every show. Looks French. It's not Leonard. It's Leonard without an O. But there is a Joseph Leonard out of South Carolina who is also a Christian author. So
But is he
I've
French?
got to make that. I don't know. But I've reached out. He never gets back to me. I'd love to have a conversation with him, even have him on the show. But yeah, so names you got to, in How to Write a Book, I say, if your name is at all familiar, make sure somebody's not already publishing under that and adopting nom de plume.
Well, thankfully I have a kind of a rare last name. I do have a rickpartlow.com author blog, but I don't post there much because it just takes a lot of time to blog. I also have a Facebook page, The Science Fiction Worlds of Rick Partlow.
Okay. And rickpartlow.com, I hope and assume, and if not, you need to fix it. There's a link to your Amazon page and to your Facebook page, yes? Or there will be
probably.
soon?
Probably.
I hope
there's definitely a link to my newsletter on that page.
Okay.
I have a newsletter that you can sign up for free, and I usually wind up doing things like having drawings where I give away signed copies of my books. And I'll tell you about other people's books and any new books that I'm working on. So
that's cool. Yeah, on my terrorstrikes.info it was up before the book was officially out, and I did, because I didn't give out the subtitle. There's a million books, Terror Strikes. The subtitle is what mattered, and I didn't release that. But I had a status updates page there, kind of sounds like what you're doing in general, to let people know the phase the book is in, what, hey, the cover's now coming, and blah, 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 blah. So, but again, I like that nitty-gritty behind-the-scenes kind of stuff. Not everybody does, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Rick. Have a good day.
Thank you very much
for tuning in to books. There will be several different books, authors, several different authors, books, authors, weeks for October of 2025. And remember, you can check out my books at josephmleonard.us/shop. And again, Joseph M. Leonard, it looks French. It's French. It's not Leonard. It's Leonard without an O. And I have to put the middle initial in there because there is a Joseph Leonard who is also a Christian author out of South Carolina. So I have to make that distinction. And going in line with books, authors weeks, I've joked as guests on other shows. I am not he is not me, and neither of us will be confused for Shakespeare. And frankly, most writers out there are not going to be confused for Shakespeare. They're not trying to be. There might be a few that, looking for that Renaissance era feel, but hey, it's a new millennia, people. Right? This is the here and now. It isn't Shakespearean Renaissance area. If you're looking for Shakespeare, reread Shakespeare. Take care. God bless. Love you all. Like and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help. Thank you for having tuned in for Constitutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless.
Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM is your conservative flamethrower. Weekdays, Steve Gruber starts things off at 6 a.m. Gruber gives his perspective on the issues of the day. At 9 a.m., Glenn Beck blazes the airwaves with his nationally syndicated program. From noon to 3, it's Dennis Prager. At 3 o'clock, it's Wham's own Thayrone X. On the Edge, Thayrone tells it exactly as he sees it. At 6, it's The Dana Show, your conservative alternative. At 8, don't miss Joe Pags. Weekends are filled with conservative talk as well. Fingers Malloy, Thomas LeDuc, The Abolitionists Roundtable, A Moment of Clarity with Pastor Rick, Your American Heritage with Ed Bondarenka, Dave Janda's Operation Freedom, and Dick Kupke's Trigger Talk. You can even get links to Wham podcasts from Dave, Dick, and of course Thayrone, all from their pages on our website, whamradio.com. Keep it locked on Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM in southeastern Michigan, and whamradio.com anywhere in the world.